Hi, it's Ben from BXM, and in this video I'm going to talk to you about food. The first thing I want you to do when it comes to planning your food is to draw out a table like this. If you're doing bronze, silver or gold, it doesn't matter. You draw 4 columns, and in those columns you're going to have breakfast, lunch, dinner and snacks. If you're arriving at a DV expedition, I can tell you now it will never start before 10 AM. So you should have breakfast at home on day 1. So you can put an X in that box. Lunch, you will never cook at lunch, no matter what day it is, no matter what level you're on. So make sure you bring something that you can eat either on the move or sit down and eat cold. There are 3 ways of doing dinner. You will need to cook. So you can either do one of the boil in the bag meals, which are great and they give you all the calories and all the nutrition you need. However, they do not taste like what you think they're going to taste like. So therefore, can you make sure that you've tried it at home? There's nothing worse than getting to your expedition, cooking your dinner and then not wanting to eat it because you don't like it. The other ways to do your dinner is you can work as an individual and bring yourself a super noodle, and I say super noodle, not pot noodle, or some rice or some couscous, and then you can make yourself a nice dinner in your mess tin or your cooking pot. The other way to do this is to work together as a team. Now, it doesn't have to be your whole team, but there could be a few of you that get together and you say, you bring some spaghetti, you bring some chopped carrots, you bring some sauce, you bring some ham, and we mix it all together and we make ourselves some sort of concoction DV carbonara. Now in the morning, you're going to need some breakfast. Now if you want to cook breakfast and do yourself pancakes or bacon or whatever you want, no problem at all. But if you just want a cold breakfast and you just want cereal bars, again, we have no issue with that. However, if it's a cold morning, you can have your cold breakfast, but you're going to need to make a hot drink to warm yourself up in the morning. Now, the other thing you're going to need, and I think this is just as important as any of the meals, is your snacks. All of your meals, all of your snacks need to be nut-free. So you need to look at what's in these before buying them. Snacks will keep you going throughout the day. Make sure you bring with you some dried fruit, wine gums or polos or whatever it is you're going to eat. What you need to make sure is that you don't have too many sweets or too much chocolate or too many crisps. Trying to equal it out with, some nutritional values is what I would say on that. All expeditions are going to finish at 3 o'clock on the final day, so you're not going to need dinner. Hopefully you'll get a nice dinner that evening. So when you draw out your table, make sure you filled it all out of what you're having each day and try and stick to it and keep organized with your food. The final thing I'd say on food is think about how it's packed. You don't want something that's going to squash like an avocado or a banana. If you're going to bring bread, it's not going to stay like a loaf of bread. However, wraps can slide down the back of your rucksack. A pack of pasta that is huge, whereas a pack of rice or spaghetti can slide down the back of your rucksack. So the most important thing is to fill out your table and make sure that you stick to your plan and you stay organized. So now let's look at what you're going to actually cook this food on and how you're going to stay safe whilst doing so. Here today we are at Wesley Fire Station in Swindon, and we're going to talk to you about the safety of stoves and how to use one of these. So a lot of the time people are using these fold out stoves. These are recommended for DV, and you can see there's a cable there. This is a brand new one and it is folded out neatly. Very, very important that the gas is upright. But when you open these, sometimes they come in these boxes, nicely packed in there. But because the cable is wrapped around, often you'd really need to check every time you use it, there's no kinks or fraying on this cable, and you need to make sure that there's no burn marks. Now you need to keep an eye on these when you're cooking with them, because occasionally these cables can start to burn, and then you can have a fire that you're unable to control because you're not able to monitor the valve very easily. Very important when you screw the valve onto the gas canister that it fits properly. But obviously, if you do end up in a situation where you have a fire anywhere along this cable, or a fire around the rim here, where maybe the gas is leaking, or around the valve, that you're able to put it out. One thing I would always say is make sure you're on a flat surface, whether that's on the ground or on a stable flat surface like this. But I'm going to pass over to the fire service now, who are going to tell you the best thing to do if you get a fire on one of these.
Hello everyone, my name's Jordan. I'm a firefighter at Wesley Fire Station, and today we're going to do a quick talk through and walk through how to use a powder extinguisher. So first of all, if the unfortunate event ever does occur that you have one of these on fire, we want you to raise the alarm, just shout there's a fire, grab the extinguisher. Very simple and easy to use. Just make sure it's pressurized by it being in the green. We want you to pull the pin, and then from a safe distance, when you're ready, spray. Thank you for listening.
So I hope that video has helped. A few additional things to think about and consider whilst you're on a campsite is, if you're cooking, make sure that the canister is upright, keep it out of your tent, keep it out of direct sunlight, and if you do have any questions or problems, speak to your instructor. If you do have a problem whilst cooking and you're unable to turn off the gas, move well away from the situation, shout for help, and ask your instructor to deal with this. That wraps up the whole of the food advice and stove safety video. So hopefully you've taken a lot from that. Enjoy your expedition and eat well.